Hey everybody, welcome back to Young Engineers of Today. I hope you're ready to probably finish up Fusion 360 today. We're going to be adding the slots for all of the tabs into our bookcase, and it's entirely possible that that's no good. Maybe we can spend some time after class because it's entirely possible that we won't actually spend the full hour today before we get finished with it. Um, but yeah, we can spend some time trying to address those, Colin. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get Fusion 360 opened. What sort of problems are you having? Yeah, no, I will. I just mean like after the class, we can spend some time working on it. But yeah, definitely. The boards are different sizes. How so? Waiting for Fusion to get started up. Okay. Oh, gotcha. It seems like your midplane is not exactly in the middle then. That would be my first guess. Um, but we can take a look at it. Um, no, no worries, no worries. We'll take a look at it after class. Not really, no. Unfortunately, it might make things a little bit more complicated without like well, it would certainly make things more complicated without the tabs, but with the tabs embedded inside of the boards, that would certainly not be ideal. In the meantime, I guess just see what we're doing and why we're doing it, and then we can take a look at it after class. Uh, okay, so I got my bookcase up. So here's the deal. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be utilizing the um, the tabs that we already have to create holes in the parts of the bookcase where the tabs are supposed to slot in. And let me show you how exactly you're going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Modify and then Combine. And as you can see, the Combine menu is pulled up again. Here's all of our, basic stuff that we've had in the past, or that we've looked at in the past. So target body, I'm going to go ahead and select this bottom shelf. Tool body, I'm going to select the kick plate. Then I'm going to select cut. And finally, I'm going to check keep tools. That part is important. We want to check keep tools. So I've got the bottom shelf for the target body, the kick plate for the tool bodies, the operation is cut, and then keep tools is checked. And I'm going to hit OK. And it looks like nothing changes. Looks like nothing changed, except if I hide the kick plate, you can now see that there are holes in the bottom shelf. And in fact, the exact size and dimension of the tabs for the kick plate. Also, if we zoom in, we see that there's no longer any sort of visual freaking out on the part of that, because that part of the bottom shelf doesn't exist anymore. So what exactly happened there? Well, let me go back into this menu so I can show you. Target body is the body that you're performing an operation on, in this case a cut. So we were performing a cut on the bottom shelf, but with what? Well, with the tool body. The tool body is the body which you're using to affect the change on the target body. Think of, you cut a piece of paper with scissors. You cut a design out of, cookie dough using a cookie cutter. The cookie dough is the target body. The cookie cutter is the tool body. We are cutting slots out of the bottom shelf using the kick plate as our tool body. That's where the cut comes in. Now, the keep tools part, that part is necessary as well, because normally what would happen is it would assume that we're not going to use the kick plate anymore, and it would just get rid of it. Delete it, goodbye. So we want to make sure that keep tools is selected, because otherwise, whatever tool bodies we use in order to perform this cut will disappear. Now, the thing is, you can only have one target body, but you can have multiple tool bodies. So for instance, I'm going to select this side wall here. Now let's take a look at everything that cuts into the side wall. We've got the back wall, we've got the two shelves, and we've got the kick plate. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to do a couple of things real quick here, because these parts are going to be important. I'm going to go up to Create and then Extrude. And I'm actually going to extrude some more of the bookcase a little bit further, because those will actually be necessary for increasing the stability of the bookcase. So I've got the Extrude menu open. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this back strip, and this back strip. Why might I be selecting those, you might ask? Well, as you can see, the tabs are actually at on the exact plane that these different parts of the bookcase end on. So in that sense, they would just kind of lay into the back as opposed to sliding into slots. What we're going to do is we're actually going to extend them out just half an inch. So that there's some overlap. And the reason for this, hit OK. Oh, good Lord. Let's extrude each part individually. Hey, Mateo. So I'm extruding each bit half an inch individually in order to, why is it joining those parts together. Why don't we do that? Why what? Because we're, okay, so again, you notice how these tabs are exactly flush with the ends of the walls? Because we want to make sure that there's actually a slot and not just that they're going to kind of rest into the side of the wall. Because basically what we're doing is we're increasing the stability on the bookcase. So instead of extrude, we're going to go to modify and then press pull. And we're just going to pull these faces out 1/2 inch. I mean, you could, but that's not the point. The point is we're doing this without glue and screws. We're trying to make this so that you don't have to use screws when you're making the bookcase. So as you can see, I actually used modify and then press pull and just brought it out 1/2 inch. So now those slots are actual full-on slots. They're not just, you know, sort of cuts out of the side of the bookcase. And I'm actually going to do the same thing to these faces up here along the top. Just, we'll make that 2/10 of an inch. Nothing amazing, nothing huge, but enough so that, oh no, let's do 1/2 inch. Let's do 1/2 inch on either end. Boom. So now, as you can see, there's some overlap on the entire bookcase, which is what we would like to have. This will help make the bookcase stronger. Cool. So now that we've done that, now we're ready to put holes into the side walls. So again, we'll go back to modify and then combine. Again, you want to make sure that keep tools is checked, and you want to make sure that cut is selected as your operation. And for your target body, we're just going to select this side wall. And then for tool bodies, we're going to select everything that cuts into that side wall. So it's going to be the back wall, it's going to be the top shelf, it's going to be the bottom shelf, it's going to be the kick plate, because as you can see, all 4 of those objects have tabs that slot into the sidewall. And they're all going to select red to let us, or they're all going to turn red and kind of transparent to let us know that those are going to be our tool bodies. And then the blue one is going to let us know that it's our target body. Again, make sure keep tools is selected, make sure your operation is cut, hit OK. And again, not much has looked like it's changed, except if we hide everything else. Look at that. Our sidewall is a whole bunch of slots for our tabs. So I'll unhide everything. And I'll do the same with the other wall. Modify, combine, select the side wall for our target body, and for our tool bodies, select everything else that's gonna connect to it. Hit OK, making sure that our operation is cut and that we're keeping our tools, and verify that it is in fact, yeah, perfect. So now we're making some serious progress here. What else have we got? Well, we've got the top. Nope, the shelf doesn't have anything. We already did the bottom shelf. So the top shelf doesn't have anything that cuts into it. We already did the bottom shelf. So we just need to do the back now, which looks like it only has the 2 shelves, and we need to do the top. So let's go ahead and modify and then combine. Back wall, select the 2 shelves, cut, keep tools, OK. We'll hide the shelves to verify, yep, there are slots there. And then we'll go to modify and combine one more time, and our target body this time is going to be the top. And now for the tool bodies, we're going to select everything that has tabs in the top. Cut, keep tools, OK. Let's verify. Looking in on the top, yep. As you can see, we've got some neat slots cut into it. And there you go. That bookcase is, in fact, complete. That wasn't so bad, right? It's pretty easy, in fact. So, what now? Well, we can actually start embedding the excuse me, I'm having a brain fart, the bookshelf into wood, if we were so inclined. However, I'm debating. Yeah, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to get this set up for something like vCarve. So I've got my bookshelf here. First things first, I'm actually going to save it. I'm going to call it bookshelf standing. And I'm actually going to do new drawing from design. Yeah, 15 factorial is pretty big. Yeah. No, that did not help. Oh dear. I've broken it. Everything's broken forever. There we go. That wasn't so bad. All right. I'm actually going to copy it because I'm a fool. I'm going to hit copy. And it's not going to do anything. Okay. Why won't it? It's not making a copy of it. There we go. Now I got 2 copies of it. Excellent. It just took a second to update. So now I've got 2 separate bookshelves. We're going to keep one in the just a full assembled bookshelf form, and then we're actually going to flatten one out and turn it into a bookshelf set in some stock. So again, in order to do what I did, if I go to the data panel and I select the bookshelf, just right-click on it and go to copy, it'll ask me to copy it to a place, and then you just copy it to your project and then hit copy, and it will spend some time. It'll take a minute to update, but it will actually show that you've got a second bookshelf. But we're going to keep modifying the one that we already have. Keep that copy for later. Give everybody just a couple of minutes to do that. Actually, go ahead and raise your hand once you've gotten all of the tabs, the slots for the tabs knocked out. Oh, cool. Excellent. Well, again, we can take a look at it after class. Okay. Yeah, so if you've created the tabs, go ahead and create a copy of your bookshelf. I'll give you a minute for that. All right, cool. So probably have our copy of the bookshelf now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new sketch, and I'm actually going to create it on the ground. So basically this plane right here that the bookshelf is resting on. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to hide that body. And I'm going to draw a 2-point rectangle starting at the origin and going outwards. And again, I'm not really going to worry about how big it is right now because we're going to dimension it out. The dimensions of this are going to be 24 inches by 48 inches. So it's going to create this nice long rectangle. And then I'm actually going to extrude it upwards a distance of ply. Hit OK. And everything's going to freak out for a second. Even though I really shouldn't be freaking out. And Fusion 360 crashed. Awesome. What happened? Oh, okay. Unhandled exception. Interesting. All right, well, close. We'll try that again. Well, it opened up a lot more quickly that time. That's nice, at least. Let me just go ahead and open up one of these. Hopefully this is the one. Maybe it's this one. I don't know how far it got into the process before it decided to flip out. Okay, it looks like neither of them actually... Okay, so it can be either one. Hey, so that's good. So I can show the whole process over again. I'm going to create a sketch on the floor. I'm going to hide all of the bodies of the bookcase. Create a 2-point rectangle and dimension it out to be 24 inches by 48 inches. And when that's done, I'm going to extrude it a distance of ply. Hit OK, unhide all of the parts of the bookshelf. So now, as you can see, it's just kind of floating in this gray rectangle. This gray rectangle represents the wood that the bookcase will be cut out of. You might be going, huh, that's weird. Might be wondering what the point of that is. But, you know, you'll see. You'll see. But this is going to be the stock that the bookcase is cut out of. So now we need to turn all of the bodies that we have for the bookshelf into components. And basically, the components are going to help us give a little bit more functionality to this. They're going to make it a little bit easier for us to do what we're trying to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, just drag select, including the stock. And we know everything's selected by the fact that it is all highlighted. For some reason, body 35. Okay, there we go. So we got everything selected. I'm going to right click and I'm going to select create components from bodies. And then as you can see, everything got moved out of the bodies category in our browser. So now we got component 1, kick 1, bottom shelf 1, top shelf 1, back 1, right 1, left 1, top 1. And of course, component 1 is our stock. That's the reason why it doesn't really have a useful name, because we didn't name it before we turned it into a component. It was 24 inches by 48 inches. Hopefully that should be enough room to place everything down onto it, but I think it should be. I'm pretty sure it should be. And I'm just going to hide everything except for our components, our sketches, and our construction parts things. That sounds... Oh, that was the door. That's what that was. Now the place is just haunted. Okay, so now we've gotten all of our components created. I'm going to right-click on the stock that we have down here. And okay, it's not selectable from there. Okay, you think, yeah. I'm going to right-click it on the browser, in fact, and I'm going to select ground. And what that does is that keeps this in place so we can't accidentally move it around. We can't just be like, woo, and, make it fly around everywhere on accident, which is exactly what we want. We want this ground, we want the stock to stay exactly where it is, because we're going to be moving everything else in order to, see, I can just click and drag this. Can't do that with the stock anymore. And I'm pretty sure that's not where it's supposed to go, but that's okay. That's okay. It's not really going to be a huge issue, because we're actually going to be moving everything onto the stock. Oh, yes. This is an interesting part. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Assemble, and I'm going to go to Joint. As it describes here, positions components relative to one another and defines the relative motion. We're going to continue in previous position. It's going to ask us to select our first component. We're actually going to select the top of the bookcase, except very specifically we're going to select the bottom face of the top of the bookcase. And if you mouse over the center, you get this weird symbol. It's like a half moon inside a circle. That's actually exactly what we want. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to get the same symbol when I mouse over the center of the stock. So I'm going to click on that. So we want the top of the stock and then the bottom of the top of the bookcase. I click on that, and then it's going to kind of wiggle around, and it's going to sit there. And it should have flipped over, but All right, so now under motion, type instead of rigid, we're going to select planar, and it's going to fly around. And then we're going to deselect this flip option right here and see how it's sort of sitting in there. And when I zoom in and out, I get the crazy, the Z fighting. That's how we know it's sitting on the exact level of the stock, and that's perfect. So now we know that that's embedded into the stock. We hit OK, and we can move this around, and it will stay embedded exactly in the stock, just like we want it to. It can be a bit of a pain to make sure it's selected, though. I'll go ahead and drag this over here into the corner. And actually, we're just going to do this with each of the parts of the bookcase. So I'll go up to Assemble, and then Joint, and Continue. Yeah, I should have done Continue originally. And I'm going to select the inside wall, the inside of the left wall. And again, you want to make sure that you get the center of it. You notice that there's a little blue square there as well. That means I've got that selected. That's great. I'm going to go ahead and click there. It's going to turn transparent. And then just like before, I'm going to select the top of the stock. Boom. It's going to flip around, start flying around on the board. And I'm going to click the flip again to make sure that it's hit OK. Do the same thing, Assemble, Joint, select the inside of the right wall. Select the center of the, let me go ahead and hide the top and the left so I can select that. Flip it, it'll be embedded in. Go ahead and hide the right. Then we'll do Assemble and Joint. Use the bottom of the top shelf and the top of the stock. Let it do its thing. It's just so ridiculously silly looking. Flip it and hide it. Hit OK. Assemble, Joint, the inside of the back wall, the top of the stock. Flip it, hide it, OK. Underside of the bottom shelf. This one's a little bit tricky sometimes. So I'm going to hide this. Assemble, Joint. It's what it's doing is it's actually using an algorithm to find basically detect all the possible movements as a joint across the component, and the ideal sort of location. Flip it, hide it, okay. And then the back of the kick plate. So we're going to rotate this around, assemble, joint, back of the kick plate, top of the stock, flip it, okay. So now we've got, if we unhide everything, it's all hiding in the, or it's all embedded into the stock right now, which is a great start. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to move this stuff around so that it is all separate from one another, but still embedded in the stock. Let me go ahead and hide the stock real quick so I can move this stuff individually. Now you can see we got all the individual parts of the bookcase. Only problem is, bring the stock back, it's kind of difficult to get everything placed so that it's all embedded within the stock. Now we can do some wizardry here and there, move these a little bit closer, and we can sort of stuff that in there, and this can go right there. But we're still left with this one. This one doesn't fit here. So instead what we can do is we can yes. We can go to Modify and then Move. And it brings up this weird looking sort of little display here. Each one of these are rotation, basically, circles that you can use to rotate it. So we're actually going to use this one and rotate it 90 degrees. And that was weird. It just rotated the texture on it. Oh, it rotated the face. We want to select the component here and rotate the entire component 90 degrees. There we go. So now we can hit OK, and we can move this component someplace where it will work. Also, you can make your life easier by right-clicking on this and selecting the option labeled selectable/unselectable. All right, so basically this just involves messing around with everything until we can find a satisfactory setup. Which might be a bit of a challenge, but I believe in you guys. And there you go. That gives us the relative size of our stock to our entire bookcase. Now all we have to do is hide the stock. And this gives us, our bookcase design for use in CAM. And that's it. That's a completed bookcase design. Now, again, there are more steps involved, like going into the CAM software and setting up the cuts and everything like that for a CNC machine. However, we've done like 90% of the work at this point. The rest of this is just sort of setting up options and making the computer do what we want it to do, which can be a bit of a struggle in and of itself, but it's not going to be as much of a challenge as it was getting this set up. Hopefully, at least, probably. More than likely. So there you go. Give yourself a pat on the back. You fully modeled a bookshelf in Fusion 360 that is fully constructible. Yeah, no, again, no worries, Cohen. Like I said, we'll spend some time after class trying to get yours up and running properly, and then you can just, view the video later. So there you go. That's going to do it for today. We'll go ahead and do the poll questions, and then we'll leave it open for question and answer time. It was a little bit shorter than usual. I was honestly anticipating that it was really only going to take about 30 to 35 minutes, but there were a couple of parts of this part of the lesson that like I don't remember as well as the rest of this. So yeah, getting into the cam stuff always gets a little bit fuzzier for me. But regardless, we'll go ahead and we'll finish this up, um, and you guys should have something that you could, at the very least, keep in case you run into like a shop bot or another mill or something like that that has 1/4 inch plywood. Who knows? Anyway, make sure to save it. We'll do the poll questions and question and answer time and everything like that. This is true. Different degrees of infinity, though. And then, we'll, I'm being facetious, but anyway, we'll break for the weekend.